As the excitement that accompanied this year's Miss Bvi pageant diminishes, there is something in the air that is sparking a whole new wave of interest. A new committee is recruiting Bvi Lander males to participate in the territory's first ever Mr. Bvi International Pageant, with opportunities for the winners to represent the territory internationally. The event is scheduled to take place in the second quarter of 2012, and founder of Mr. Bvi International, Jeremy Brent Fraser, told JTV News that each of the contestants will have the opportunity to go on to represent the territory at other events abroad.
The winner of Mr. British Virgin Islands International, he would be going to China next year, 2012, to represent the Bvi in the Mr. World. Mr. World is equivalent to Miss World, actually. Whenever you see Miss World anywhere in the world, whatever event she's doing, whatever country she's in, you will find this young man next by her side every step of the way, which is Mr. World. Besides Mr. World, it have the Mr. Caribbean World, which supposed to be in Canada this year, but as I was informed, it will change to New York. So that is also a big step for the Bvi.
Jeremy Brent Fraser owns a catering company and also works as a chef at a hotel in St. John. He went on to say that the reason for the show was to provide a positive outlet for the territory's males to further their education, showcase their talents, and become involved in a positive activity.
For me, growing up as a young man in the Bvi, I've encountered some terrible sights such as seeing our young men get into crimes, doing drugs, and so forth. I sat down with some friends of mine on. We talk about the same situation. We noticed that the community point out all these shows for the young ladies. If you notice, you barely seen any news about young ladies getting in trouble and so forth, right? Which you see that they're working hard to get what they need to get out of life, to do what they need to do for their education and so forth. We are forgetting about our young men in the Bvi. We came up with a show to say that we could get the young men to compete against each other to actually get the goal of making their future better.
Meanwhile, Reva Williams, a committee member and former contestant at this year's Miss Bvi pageant, listed some of the qualifications that determine who can participate in the pageant.
The qualifications to enter into the show is to be between the ages of 17 and 29. You cannot have any children. We put this rule in place, although we know many young men in the community has children, because we don't want it to be as the traveling and reigning Mr. British Virgin Islands have to leave home and his children at all times. So that will be a perfect step for us so that they don't have any children, so they don't have no main responsibilities back home. One of the other things that we would not like the young men to have is any seen piercings. Any piercings that are seen to the public can also get you disqualified. They are not to be seen. They have to be taken out during the duration of the show. Tattoos, we've been looking for the rules on tattoos in other regional pageants, but we haven't found any. So right now the tattoos, once there are not too many of them, they can stay. Another main thing for the young man to be part of this pageant is to be living in the British Virgin Islands, have to have their belongings or be born in the British Virgin Islands. Proof of this has to be seen when they send in their applications.
Persons who would like to take part in the Mr. Bvi International or who would like to sponsor the show can contact Jeremy Fraser at 343-3786 or Reva Williams at 442-3864 for further information. Persons can also email their requests to Mr. Bvi International at digicel.blackberry.com.